Hello everyone, I'm Jeff Standley with Standley Handcrafted, and today we're going to be going over the farmer's market checklist that I mentioned a couple of videos ago. Now this is going to be not an extensive list, but it's going to cover just about everything you'll need getting into a farmer's market and what you'll need at that farmer's market. So I've already got the list, and some of you may have already seen this on the West Sound Candle Supply website, but if you haven't, I'm going to go over it in the video right now, and then of course I'm going to link it in the video description down below, and it's got a full list along with links to examples of some of the stuff that I'm talking about. So if you don't have some of these products, you can click on the links and check out exactly what I'm talking about and pick something up if you need it. And I've done one of these videos kind of before, and I'll say this, the same thing I said in the last one. This isn't a list that's going to be absolutely everything you need, but these will definitely be, I think I've got 14 different things in here, 15 because I need to update the list again actually, but 15 things in here that you will absolutely need. And again, this is just a starting point. So there are many other things that you could possibly add to this list that once you start doing farmers markets, you will definitely know what you need if you happen to not see it in this list. So we're gonna go ahead and jump over. I'm gonna jump right into this one, and I'm gonna try to throw some pictures up so you can see exactly what I'm talking about, although a lot of this stuff is kind of self-explanatory, like a pop-up tent. But if you are unfamiliar with some of the things in here, I'll try to put some pictures up here, and of course on the website, I've got links to everything. So we'll go ahead and just jump right into this one. But before we do, the studio is getting closer to being finished. I've got some of the panels back up. I got some new colored panels in here, and I'm gonna move this out of the way. I went ahead and put the YouTube plaque in here. I might have to move it because the mic is covering it, so that doesn't really help. I think I might try to move it over here and see if it can fit. But starting to get this thing set up to where I can actually record in here and basically just come in here, set up the camera, turn on the mic, and go. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and just jump right into this one. And the first thing that you're gonna need, obviously, when you sign up to the farmer's market, get in there. Most farmer's markets are gonna be around the same type of booth space, which is gonna be kind of a standard 10 by 10. Now you can get into some farmer's markets that have smaller or larger booths, so you may wanna look into that one. So if you've got a bigger floor space that you wanna occupy, you can definitely pay for that and get into it. But the standard that I've seen around here is gonna be 10 by 10. So you're gonna need a 10 by 10 pop-up canopy or tent. Now this one is an absolute must for getting into a farmer's market. I don't know that I've seen any farmer's market out there that will allow you to get into it without having one of these. The other thing to be mindful of, and I didn't even think about this when I got mine, I just happened to get lucky, is pick the color of your tent that the farmer's market wants, or check the farmer's market that they don't have restrictions on different colors. A lot of farmer's markets out there will only allow you to have a white tent, and I definitely didn't know this because when I went and bought mine, I just bought a black tent because it matched a lot. It matched my style, my aesthetic, the website, everything like that, which actually turned out to be a good thing for me because my tent stands out in a sea of white tents. But if I happen to join a farmer's market that doesn't allow that, I'm kind of out in the dark. I'm gonna have to go get another tent that will allow me to kind of set up at that farmer's market. But definitely pay attention to that one. If you go to a place like Quick Tent, they have a bunch of different colors to choose from and some really nice options actually. The second thing you're gonna need for this one is gonna be weights for your canopy. Now this is another one that farmer's markets insist that you have, and that's basically just weights that go around the base of your tent to hold it down. So if something happens, high winds or people bump into it, your tent isn't gonna just kind of knock over or fall over. So you definitely need weights or stakes to hold your tent down. The third thing you're gonna need is gonna be tables. Now this one is kind of up to the person how you want to set up your display, and it kind of really depends on how the farmer's market is set up. So if you're along the lines with tents on either side of you, you're probably going to put the tables right up in the front. But if you happen to be on a corner, you could go from basically a 90-degree angle. You could go down the left side and the front side so that you're matching up kind of the sidewalk of the farmer's market. But again, this is really personal preference. Me personally, I have two 6-foot kind of folding tables that I set up, and I have one going along the inside, and I have one that's kind of halfway back in the tent so that people can come inside the tent. The next thing you're gonna need, and I missed this one the first farmer's market I signed up for, and that is tablecloths. I really didn't even think about it when I signed up, and I actually signed up for the first farmer's market and got into it kind of a little bit before I kind of intended to. So I kind of grabbed everything as I could, set it up, and it looked absolutely terrible. I think I have pictures for it. I'll try to find those. But a tablecloth or something that goes over to kind of help the overall presentation. Plus, it'll drape down in the front, and again, I'll put up some pictures here, so it just looks better when you're walking past it. It also helps draw the attention away from, like if you have a card table that's just wide open underneath and a bunch of products underneath it. It really is an eyesore when you're kind of walking by a market. So this definitely helps draw their eyes up so that they actually look at your products. Now, number 5 is going to be, and this now seems like a common sense one, but you're going to need signage, something that says what you sell, what you have. When I did my first farmer's market, I didn't have a big banner that went up behind me. So people had to walk into the tent to see what I had. And I also didn't have signage on the table either. So it was literally just a table full of candles. And honestly, you would be surprised. I was definitely surprised how many people walk by, come in, and actually pick the product up and still have no idea what it is. I had one person come in, actually walk in, walk up to the candle, open it up, take off the lid, and run their finger across it, and then look at it, and then look at me and go, what is it? So signage definitely helps. I honestly didn't even know how to answer that one because it was so obvious what it was. But again, I had people walking by, they see the jelly jars, they see the 9-ounce straight jars, they ask if it's jam or honey. So a couple markets later, I went to Vistaprint. I got a huge canvas sign that sits in the back of my tent, and it literally says candles in giant lettering, and I'll post a picture of that one too. And then underneath it says my business name and what else I sell as far as like soaps or lotions or anything like that. Number 6 is going to be product displays. Now this is another one that I kind of built into. I didn't have it at the first couple, but anything to set your candles on top of. And I went ahead and I'll put some pictures up again. I built some of my own displays, but you can get this stuff anywhere. Amazon has a lot of good stuff, even if it's just like little tiered or stair step kind of holders, anything to add more to your display so that it looks a little bit more aesthetically pleasing and you can hold more stuff. Number 7 is going to be a cash box or an apron. I personally prefer, and I would definitely recommend, an apron over anything. You never want to leave, or at least I don't, I never want to leave a cash box just kind of sitting behind candles or underneath or anything and leave it unattended. You will get busy through the farmer's market, and if you're over here dealing with something, you'd be surprised how often it does happen. Somebody can just slip back there real quick, reach into the cash box, or just take the entire cash box. So if you have an apron or kind of a money belt or anything like that where you can keep your, almost like the waiters and the waitresses, how they have all their stuff in an apron, those work absolutely perfect. You can get some that look really nice, and you can keep everything right on you so that you never have to worry about that. Number 8 is going to be bags and tissue paper. Now the tissue paper is optional, but the bags are a must. When you're selling a bunch of candles, it doesn't look really good to just hand them 4, 5, 6 candles if they buy a bunch and they just have to carry them all packed up in their arms. So obviously having bags so that they can carry stuff. And of course you can get your own branding on those bags so that when people are walking around the farmer's market, other people see those customers with your bag, and it just becomes further advertisement for your product. Number 9 is going to be price tags and labels. Now this is another one that, again, I didn't have enough of in the beginning. And honestly, I think for the first farmer's market, I didn't even have pricing on the table. So a lot of people will walk into your booth. They really don't communicate too well. Some people will just walk in and walk right out. And if they're not seeing prices, there are a bunch of people who just will not ask. I do the same thing when I go to farmer's market. I don't want to be bothered. I don't want to be hassled. So if I can walk in and see everything, I'm great. I've even done it myself where I'll walk in and I just don't want the long conversation and kind of a high pressured sales. And it doesn't always happen like that, but I think we always have that kind of that used car mentality walking into something like that where you don't even want to ask the question because you don't want the conversation. So having prices so that people can walk in, they see the giant sign that says candles, they look down at the table and they see $20 or whatever your price is, will make a huge difference when it comes to people walking in and out of your market. Number 10 is going to be a credit card reader. Now you can get these from square.com. You can get them from Shopify. I believe you can even get it from PayPal. And a lot of these do have apps. So if you don't have the reader with you, you can still enter it in your phone. And I did this for a long time, several markets, and I would usually do it with either PayPal or Shopify. and you can ring everything up on your phone. But having the credit card reader attached to your phone is extremely nice because you can just swipe the card and you're done. And I didn't put this one in the list, so I'm gonna have to add this one also, and it's one of the most obvious ones, and I can't believe I forgot it, is gonna be cash. You want to make sure that you show up with plenty of cash on hand. And again, that's going to be up to the market. I've shown up with $20 and $30 just in kind of scattered ones and a 5, and it's been perfectly fine. And I've shown up other times where I had $100 in cash, 1s, 5s, a 10 or maybe a couple 10s, and like it wasn't enough. So you definitely want to have enough cash on hand so that you can deal with any cash transactions, because a lot of people coming through the market are using cash. They won't use cards. And you definitely don't want to have to turn down sales because you can't give somebody $5 and change. Another one that's not on the list that I need to add on here is a chair. Definitely take chairs to your farmer's market. Now, most of the time it's going to be somewhat busy, and I've spent the entire day standing up helping people. But in those off times when it gets a little bit slower, or when you're just taking lunch and you've got somebody else kind of working the tables, you definitely want a chair. I have definitely forgotten chairs, and I regretted that the entire day. So definitely add chairs to your list. Number 11 is going to be something to carry your products. If you're going to a farmer's market, you're taking a ton of stuff. You've got your tent, you've got your chairs, you've got all of your product. And if you're like me going to a farmer's market, you've got dozens of boxes. And I usually take the box that the candles come in, and it'll hold 12. And I usually have, I don't know, probably 8 to 12 of those boxes as well. And carrying those back and forth by yourself or with somebody can take a long time. So if you've got any type of like pull cart or a wagon or anything like that, it'll make a world of difference. Number 12 is going to be a cooler. Now this one, depending on how many people you have with you, if you've got 2-3 people at a booth, you can usually get away to go get a drink, go get something to eat. But if it's just you, which I've done plenty of markets where it's just me, having a cooler where you can have your lunch or drinks or anything like that is kind of a nice addition to have. Now this is one of those ones that you really don't need to have. But if you're doing a lot of farmers markets, I like having this one. This is why I threw it in there, but this is an optional one. Number 13 is going to be business cards. And I'm surprised I'm actually saying business cards. Along with business cards, I would definitely recommend having a QR code on your table. And I've got one on my banner that I sit behind me. And it's got a QR code that goes to Instagram, the website, so that people can go there, add you, and you kind of have their contact information, and they can kind of communicate with you once they leave the market. But having business cards is a big one. And I didn't get these for the first couple markets. And I really didn't even think about it just because we've moved so far away from business cards. But once I got to the farmer's market, I got hit up at least a couple dozen times for a business card. So I immediately went home that night, got one, and then I had them there for probably like the second or third market I was there. But business cards are a bigger one than I thought, and it's definitely something that people will ask for. All right, and last but not least, at least on this list, and this one is definitely optional, and I've heard pros and cons for having this one, and that's gonna be a water bowl for dogs. Now, this is definitely one that I didn't think about when I first started doing markets, but it's one that I saw other people doing, and they had a ton of people at their booths because so many people walk their dogs through markets. And the booths that had water bowls kind of at the front of their tent, they got a lot of traffic. Every single dog that walked by, the owners would stop, let their dogs drink from it, and then most of them would end up browsing through the tent. So definitely a good thing to have, but it's also one of those things that somebody brought up on the Facebook group. You might ask about that one because some people may not want their dogs drinking from just a random water dish. So it's one of those ones that can go back and forth. Definitely think about it and ask about it. There might be some restrictions at the farmer's market, but like I said, this is one of those ones that I didn't think about. It's optional, and it seemed to make a huge difference because so many people walk their animals through the market. So that's pretty much it with this one. Kind of a quick and easy list. I know there's a bunch of other things that I probably need to add to this list. So if there's something that you take to a farmer's market that you think should be on this list, please let me know and I'll go ahead and add it to the website. And if you have any thoughts on some of the stuff that I mentioned, please let me know in the comment section down below. That way other people can see it and kind of throw their opinions in there as well. And again, if you want to see this full list, it's over at westsoundcandlesupply.com. It's under the Learn section, and I'll go ahead and post it right here so you can see it. And it's got a full list on there and also a contact form at the bottom if you want to reach out. But that's pretty much it with this one. I hope you liked the video. If you do, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and hit the bell notification if you want to see alerts for any of the new videos that are coming out. And we'll go ahead and see you in the next video. Thank you.